So much for clicking on my very first YouTube video. It is about 2 months into quarantine, and I figured at this point, why not? It is important to get out of your comfort zone. This is a very weird thing to be doing, but I'm hoping that in the next few minutes, I'm at least entertaining and a little bit informative on how I do my makeup. And without further ado, let's just get started.
So I'm taking a little bit of Tarte Shape Tape Concealer and my blending sponge just to bounce it over my eyelids to give a nice even creamy base for my eyeshadow. I'm then taking a blending brush and the Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette, and I'm working with the top middle shades, the brown ones of Tanacon and Diet Root Beer, and I just want a wash of color, a little bit of warmth to my eyes, a little bit of definition. I am using the lightest amount of pressure to just blend it in, really melt it into the skin. Obviously, a look would not be good without glitter, so I am taking the shade Block Party and I'm taking my finger for maximum glitter and just kind of swiping it over my lid. Just to make sure it all blends together, I'm taking my brush again with no additional product and making sure everything's married together. Next, I switched brushes to a flat top brush and a little bit of that black eyeshadow from the palette. Because of my hooded eyes, I find eyeliner can get too messy, so when I use eyeshadow, I have a little bit more control and it lasts longer. For primer, I am just taking my BioElements moisturizer and making sure my skin is nice and hydrated for foundation. Now I'm shaking up the two foundations I'll be using today. The only reason why I'm using two is because I like the coverage in one, and the other is actually my shade. I'm taking the tip of my beauty blender and I am dotting it all over my face and blending it in. You always want to make sure that you pat and never swipe. You want to have as much coverage as possible. Being someone that had a really bad acne growing up, I've learned that the less foundation is better, the lighter coverage. You want it hydrating. I will be blending for several minutes. This is something that I get very OCD about. I want to make sure it's down my neck, blended seamlessly. So once I'm finally happy with how it is, I will move on to concealer. I'm going to use the Jeffree Star Concealer. Earlier I used the Shape Tape on my eyes. They're both amazing concealers. I'm doing the Instagram under the eyes, on the chin, lip, nose, and forehead. You do this to brighten. Usually use a shade lighter. I try not to go too light since I'm already pale. I don't want to be washed out. And then it is back to blending. I try to make sure that it is seamless and that it just melts from concealer to foundation, just into the skin. Once I'm finally happy with that, I will give one more bounce over my under eyes and smile lines so I'm not setting any creases. I'm taking the Jeffree Star Loose Powder, which is kind of an expensive powder, so if you want to go to the drugstore, I love the Maybelline Fit Powder. And I'm just dusting a light layer of powder over my entire face. I find that for day to day, you don't want to bake or do anything too heavy. And then taking the same blender brush from before, a little bit of those brown shades, I'm just pinching it under the eyes to give it a more balanced look. Then I'm taking the glitter and highlighting my inner corner and brow bone. Now moving on to one of my favorite steps because it makes me no longer look like a vampire, it is bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It smells like coconut. It's an absolute dream. If you're as pale as I am, this is the perfect bronzer. Because believe it or not, I'm actually being pretty low-key with my makeup today. I am just bronzing out my skin and warming it up. Not really worried about contouring or any particular structure. I just want to have that warmth and that sun-kissed look, even though I don't go in the sun. My face is very obviously missing some glow, so next I am moving on to this baked highlight. It's very golden, very beautiful, but it just wasn't giving me the reflective quality that I needed that day, so I moved on to this Naked Skin Quad and just picked up the highlighting shade from there. I know I just said it about bronzer a minute ago, but wow, I love the way that blush just warms up the face. I can't help it. I'm blush's #1 fan. You will see me. I'm putting it all over my face. I love blush. this point, I have all of these powders on my face, so I'm going to take the Morphe setting spray and spray it all over my face. What this is going to do, it's going to make a powdery face look like natural skin again. If you clicked on my video to get the best tricks on how to do your eyebrows, I am not the place to go for that. I can say that I do like to use powder, like similar with the eyeshadow. You get a little bit more control, mistakes happen, you can clean it up a little bit easier. So what I do is I just take an angled brush and I fill it in any spots that seem sparse. I flip the brush over just to make sure that the product is even, looks natural, not too clumped in one spot, and then I basically cement it down with a clear brow gel. Now I'm just sweeping on a very natural cream lipstick. My lips were very, very dry this day, so I put on a gloss just to give it a little bit of a shine and kind of distract by how crusty they were. Now I'm just giving my eyelashes a quick curl. Nana, don't worry, I don't do this every day. I just figured because I'm a YouTuber now, I should. Now I'm taking this Buxom mascara. One thing about me and mascaras is I will only buy travel size so that I don't feel guilty about throwing them away every 2 to 3 months.